Welcome back to Man Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be talking about whatever the title's about. Well, what should we talk about, you know? Again, just sort of continuing on the conversation from my weekend trip. I don't know if I guess I would call it a trip of that sort of thing. You know what I'm going to talk about? I'm going to talk about service stations because it would be a hotly, not a hotly debated topic, but well, I guess it could be hotly debated within some of my friends, but it's not really. I don't really know where I was going with this. But yeah, well, I'll talk about it in a second. Let's let Isabel say her mind first. But hello everyone, we're now in Fawnhallow at 6:10 p.m. on Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. So this is one of Gadavar, who I don't think we've helped out for a very long time. But yeah, service stations. If you don't know what service stations are, I don't actually know, because I think they must be called something different in America, or I'm using the American name, they're called something different in the UK. That's actually a good question. Might as well just like look it up, because why not? Service stations. Filling station. Oh, I did not know that's what it's called. Petrol station. Wait, hold on, not a petrol station. It's a bit different from just a petrol station. Well, maybe it's not just a difference from a petrol station. Maybe they started off as petrol stations or filling stations or whatever, and they become bigger and bigger. But basically, it's at least in the UK. I'd imagine they're quite common in America because America's significantly bigger. They're basically just places along a motorway or like along any sort of major roads where you can stop off, you can refuel your car. That's the main thing. For petrol, but there's also like shops and like small restaurants, not like restaurants. Like you don't sit down and you go to like I don't think of a fancy restaurant, like a 3-star Michelin restaurant or something like that. It's more like McDonald's. There's like some random convenience store which you've never heard of before, but apparently it's a chain in this area. And there's like some weird like indie sandwich shop and a cafe or something. It's like those sort of stores, things that you would probably need on like a road trip. And actually mentioning about this is quite funny because UK is comparatively a much smaller country than it is America. And like in America, road trips are things which I assume you take place over multiple days, right? And like what's considered a long trip in America would be like, I don't even know, maybe like a 10-hour trip or something. I don't even know, that probably only gets you across a few states depending on what state you live in. But a 10-hour trip in UK would be absolutely unheard of, I think. Like if someone said they went on a 10-hour car journey, I'd be like, where did you drive? Just like from the very south all the way to the top. I don't even know how long that drive is, I'm going to be honest off the top of my head. But I'd imagine that probably would take you from about south of England to Scotland. I'm not really sure, to be perfectly honest, but yeah, even things like above an hour, I would consider a long. Maybe not above an hour, but anything above 2 hours, I'd be like that is like I would be like at least a longish trip, that sort of thing. Like 5 hours, I'd be like that is insane, kind of. It's just sort of like a difference of perspective, right? Like I'm trying to think of school trips. Like sometimes we'd have like really long school trips, and it'd be like, oh, you had to drive for like an hour to get there, and be like, that's quite a long time, kind of. But obviously in the comparisons and things, it kind of depends what country you're in, because you might be sitting there being like 1 hour trip is like nothing. It's like my morning commute. In which case I'm like, whoa. If you drive 1 hour every single day, I'd imagine that gets very, very draining. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so service stations, they're basically things that are scattered around the motorways, any like large, highways for American terms, any large roads. Eventually, like I don't even know how often they are, but you basically stop off, you refuel your car if you need a bit more petrol, you go get some snacks, so like for the journey, you eat your lunch, you eat your dinner, you get like a bathroom break, that sort of thing. We service stations, and I understand the practicality of them and that sort of thing. And if anything, they have a sort of strangeness to me, where I have like a sort of sense of nostalgia built around them. Like my friends really love service stations. I don't know, maybe for the fun of getting like snacks and food. I don't really know particularly, but it was like it was our journey to our other friends. Like I travelled with some friends. I can't drive, but so one of my friends, he very kindly drove me and a few others. And it's about a 3-hour journey, I think, like a bit under 3 hours or whatever. And we, the very important thing that had to happen on our journeys, we had to have 2 stops at service stations, and why we had to, in particular, I don't really know, but I suppose it works out quite nicely mathematically. You go in an hour, service station, an hour, service station, hour, and then you're at your destination. And, well, I do think Well, actually, I don't know. Like, service stations aren't particularly anything special, and normally I am not like opposed to my friends. Not normally we tend to have different opinions on things, like things that they particularly like I'm quite indifferent to, and things that they like I like they're indifferent to. But you know, we still partakes in others' interests, and it's not like we don't have common interests as well. So that's sort of what I mean when I'm sort of like inverted from some of my friends. But I don't know, service stations, you know, at the time I was like, all right, sure, whatever. And I'm not sure why you're so insistent about a service station. But then I remember, you know, after going to like these service stations, like, well, I have a sort of strange sense of nostalgia baked into them, which I actually talked about with one of my friends. It wasn't about service stations, though. It was about hotels, like how hotels give me such a weird sort of like sense of nostalgia about traveling. Same things with airports. So much so that a lot of the times you know, the feeling of being in an airport, the feeling of like just checking into a new hotel room, the feeling of like pulling up to a service station or something instills me with so much nostalgia that I'm just like, wow, it's not I actually like it better than a trip if I were to say it from an objective angle, but you know, I like it certainly proportionally more than you would expect for an actual trip. Anyway, service stations are always really nice, and I have memories of when I was younger and like being on long road trips and on these service stations. Like one of them, I remember. I don't even remember where it was or where we were going to. We might have actually been driving to Scotland. I can't remember, with family, and there was what are they called? A claw machine in one of the service stations, and it was revolutionary because that claw machine was the first time I ever saw a claw machine, which was like you keep going until you win a prize. You basically put in like, I can't remember what it was at the time. It must have been like 10p or 20p. It was so cheap, but you know, inflation since then has probably made them like £1 or something per go, and you put it in, and then you just move a claw, and then like it literally, like if it fails, you can keep going and going and going and going until you win. And I remember me and my sister like both had like a turn each. Fantastic, by the way. And so much so that it feels incredibly rewarding as a child to do. I mean, the prize that you get from it are very small and very cheap. But we got a little pink cat and a little yellow duck. Were very, very fluffy from what I recall, but they sort of got like that merle wool outside, but not. Is merle the right word? Like M-E-R-L-E? M-E-R-L-E? Yeah, but that kind of sort of like weird glossy glimmer on the outside, but I don't even know how they got that sort of thing. They weren't merle patterned, mind you, but they had that sort of effect with it, like shades of pink and shades of yellow. I don't know what they were, but I do remember they were called like Cutie was the cat and Sweetie was the duck. Why? I don't really remember, to be perfectly honest, and I don't even remember who got which one out of me and my sister, but you know, they're probably in like a bin bag somewhere. So, and not like because I thrown away, I mean like they're in storage. I mean like I didn't discard them. Well, I suppose they kind of have been discarded if I haven't interacted with them for ages, but still. Yeah, what was I going to say about this? Yeah, so I've got good memories of service stations of that. Good memories of just, you know, stopping off at McDonald's. You know, my parents always used to get like filet fish. Fillet o fish. But, you know, my parents always call it filet fish because, you know, not Chinese. So, you know, sometimes that happens, you know, when their native language isn't English, they don't know the exact English name, so they'll give it a sort of like nickname. And I don't even know what they're called, but they are called filet o fish, right? And it's just one of the things which, like, filet o fish or whatever has just ingrained itself in my head of being like filet fish. And that's why I used to love filet o fish, I suppose, so much when I was younger as well. But I'd always have them, and you know, kids tend to sort of copy people, you know, and copy my parents. They have it, but I have it, and it became my favourite. McDonald's meal for a while until I sort of switched off to, you know, preferring chicken. And might I say, McDonald's, the fake meat, I can't remember what it's called, like the fake meat things, are actually genuinely pretty good. Like, but both McDonald's, I don't have a KFC one. I heard the KFC one's pretty good. I've said this before, like, the meat alternatives are pretty good, in my opinion. But anyway, maybe I should have that next time I get to McDonald's. I don't know. I don't even know what I had this time. But yeah, I have like good memories just like going to McDonald's, eating that sort of food, just like stopping off at these random, like it feels like so random, like sort of weird nostalgia tied into it, like going into a place that you've never been to before and you'll never go to again, just sort of like a one-off location where like there's like 50 other families and people also just all stopping off all on their holidays, maybe they're going to a holiday, maybe they're coming back from one, doing the same sort of thing, and it's just like, I don't know, there's sort of a sense of nostalgia baked into me. It's a very visceral one. It's a very, I don't even know how to describe it, I suppose. I'm not going to say it's unique particularly to me, because it's not, but, you know, I'm sure other people will have it as well, but, you know, it's interesting to think about. And especially because I guess it's so strongly tied to the association of a holiday. That's why it's got that sort of sense of nostalgia baked in, and like happy warm memories baked in for me. Because I mean, you don't really go to these sort of service stations when you're not going on holiday. You'll go to petrol stations, yeah, but petrol stations are kind of different from service stations, which is why I'm surprised as they're not got like different things here on the Wikipedia article. But maybe because in America they are much more similar. But in the UK we have petrol stations, which are literally just a petrol station, and there'll be a small convenience store where you go in. I mean, it used to be you go into the store and you'd be like, oh, is that pump, whatever, and you pay for petrol that way. Nowadays I don't think so. I think you can pay at the pump. I think that's kind of like the preferred way of doing things now. But that's basically just made up of one convenience store and maybe like a toilet. There's not really much to it. Like you don't really buy much from a convenience store apart from maybe snacks or whatever. But like these service stations are ones where, you know, they've got more things. They've got petrol station. They've got fast food joints, and they got like generic convenience stores or whatever. And you know, while it might be just like, you know, on a magnitude of like 8 stores maybe compared to 1, I don't know, it's just like one of those travel areas and that sort of thing. You know, you can get a hot breakfast, that sort of thing. Like I remember one time actually we went to like a service station on like a school trip in primary school, and then like a few of my friends like went and bought McDonald's. They bought like breakfast McDonald's because it was like 6 a.m. or something. I can't remember at the time. I was like, I can't believe, you know, wow, we're such like bad people. Not bad people, like we're such like rebels going during a school trip buying like fast food and junk food and that sort of thing. I was like, why? You can't do that. I guess it was part of me was ingrained in me because, you know, we never like really had fast food all that often, that sort of thing. Nowadays, of course, I'm just like you're going to go for fast food. One, because you're not on trips all that often, probably. If you're on trips all the time, I would not recommend getting fast food every single time you're on a trip. But you're not on trips all often. Fast food is easy, it's fast, you know. It's inoffensive most of the time, you know, you sort of eat it. Everyone, generically, most people tend to like it. Or at least there'll be something that they can like on the menu or something like that. And it's like, I don't know, it's like a bit of a treat, I suppose, in itself. Anyway, let's look at this filling station. UK. Do they have a large majority of stations allow customers to pay with chip and pin payment card or pay in the shop. Alright. Many have a pay at the pump system. Look, this is literally just about pure petrol stations. I don't want petrol stations, I want service stations. But maybe they're not called motorway service online? Are they not called service stations? I really thought they were called service stations and they had all these sort of things. Motorway service stations, yeah, that's what they call them in the UK. Right? Are they just a UK thing? Maybe they're just a UK thing, I actually didn't know that. Motorway, and maybe like in other countries they basically just have the fuel things, they don't have as big things. It's basically, like sometimes the biggest ones look like mini shopping centres, I suppose, based around like a service station. List of motorway service areas. In the UK, you can see it all follows the major roads. I didn't realise there's only like so few motorway service areas. Oh, here we go. In the United Kingdom, oh hold on, I didn't realise it was here. Also known as service stations. There we go. Or rest areas where drivers can. So I didn't know it was just for UK. Oh, for similar facilities in other countries, the rest area. Oh, what are they called in the US? Oasis. Really? Wow, that's a cool name. Not gonna lie. It's a public facility located next to a large thoroughfare such as a motorway, expressway, highway, at which drivers and passengers can rest, eat, or refuel without exiting onto secondary roads. Yeah. That's exactly it. Like, you don't go to them unless you, like, are on a trip and you want to stay on the motorway, right? Other names include motorway service area in the UK, or services, yeah, that's what's more colloquially known as the UK. Travel plaza, rest stop. Rest stop is a fair name. Oasis is, like, such a cool name put in the US, but perhaps a bit dramatic, I would say. Service area, rest and service area, resto, service plaza, lay-by, and service centre in Canada. You get park-like areas, fuel stations, public toilets, water fountains, restaurants, dump and fill stations for caravans and motorhomes. Exactly that sort of thing. There's always like wooden picnic benches out on the front, like large car park. I'm trying to think what else is quite customary on them. You know, like they're always in that bathroom configuration where they've got like the toilets on the outside and then like the sinks along the inside. Not all of them. Some of them do. That's more like a camping thing now I think about it. People are like brushing their teeth in there and that sort of thing. United Kingdom lay-bys is a term used by UK An island to describe a roadside parking or rest area. Oh, okay, so that's like not a service station. That's just like literally somewhere you can park on a motorway for a little bit to stretch your legs. Fair enough. I didn't realise that's what a lay-by technically was, to be honest. Most rural UK roads except motorways. Hello, Gulliver. I think we're going to have to ignore you. I'm not sure we can... since you're not Gulliver, I'm not sure we can help you within 5 minutes, unfortunately. UK Kingdom, motorway service area. You know, let's read a bit about it. History. First 2 service areas in the UK, Watford Gap and Newport Pagnell. 1959. I guess that makes sense. That seems about reasonable. There's a common misconception about Watford Gap was the first one to fully open when, in fact, Newport Pagnell was. Watford Gap in Northamptonshire. Initially, most service areas were designed to be bold. Oh, hello. Bold and attractive, with many opening viewing platforms and featuring fancy restaurants. Really? I didn't know that. I didn't know they were meant to be fancy. And I certainly wouldn't call a motorway service area quite fancy now. Like, you sort of look at it and be like, it's kind of like where you just go to eat some quick junk food, etc, 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 right? As more service stations opened, the number of operating companies increased. Granada, Pavilion, Take a Break. Yeah, that's one I see quite a lot. Esso. I didn't know Esso were a motor service station company. I thought they were just a petrol company, to be honest. There are now only 3 major operators. In an attempt to break this oligopoly, the government proposed allowing mobile fast food vans to operate at the areas. Oh, cool. Fast food vans are also a fantastic thing to get food from, I think, on these sort of times. Whereas idea never came to fruition. Oh, okay. Never mind then. I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen a fast food van at like a motorway service station, but it sort of just like makes sense, doesn't it? Opposition towards surface areas has grown, with some planning applications being refused. Oh, interesting. Despite concerns of local residents. Oh, people, I didn't know service stations were so, like, not well liked. I mean, most of the times I feel like we're on, like, busy motorway, like, through fairs in the first place, so, you know, it doesn't really make much of a difference, I would have thought. But maybe, that's probably ignorant of me. I guess it, you know, makes sense when it's like on the M25 or something, but if you're like living in a small town which just kind of happens to be kind of close to a motorway, you're probably a little bit more opposed to it in the first place, aren't you? I don't know. I didn't know that, to be honest. But there you go. Motorway service things. Moto hospitality, welcome break is one you see all the time. We've even got like little hostels and things like that. Road Chef, Extra, Westmoreland, Apple Green, EG Group. Huh. I'm sort of just like reading one of these now. Free parking for 2 hours, fuel, free toilets, baby changing and breastfeeding facilities, free play area for children, hot drinks and hot food. Yeah, I mean, they're just sort of nice and convenient, I suppose, but I understand the opposition to them. You know, it's not like every place particularly needs a service area, do they? I don't really know. But anyway, that's not really for me to decide because I know nothing about civic planning. But I'm going to round off this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope you see each other again before now. So farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.